I was walking through a club a few months back, and there's like two girls start walking by. And you know, when you're the selector, you're just fucking around with people. So I grab them and I pull them in. I'm like, so girls, what's the chance of us getting a threesome? And I open with that kind of a lot sometimes. If it's in my head, I'm just doing with that. And it never gets a bad reaction, because when you're doing that and you're solid about that, you're presenting the image of a guy that actually that's just his lifestyle, okay? So usually what will happen is like one will be like really interested, like, you know, and then the other one will be like, yeah, and you know, she might scamper off, whatever. But when I grabbed him like this, and that same thing happened, like she was just like kind of into it, like, and she wasn't. And so I use that to screen her out. It's like, what's wrong with you? You know, like I kind of like bring this girl out, and this girl is like, I've separated her from her friend, and she's like sounding like, oh, I'm just not cool anymore. So I've like used that as a standard to like screen the girl out. So I've like basically isolated her, you know. And yes, I did have sex with her later. We always need to make that point. Yes, I did that, and I had sex with her. I went over to this girl's house that I'd met at a club, and you know, I just was hanging out with her roommates. I was just having a really good time with them, and I wasn't trying to ignore her, but you know, being a high value, as a high value guy, or whatever, your attention just kind of shifts to wherever the value is. So at that point, you know, I'm having a fun time with the roommates, and I'm basically ignoring her. And she's like, what's going on here? So like we go into her room, and I don't even know if I want to tell this. Anyways, she's like, you know, what's going on? And I don't really say anything. I just slip my hand down the front of her jeans like this, and I'm looking at her like this. And she looks at me like I'm insane. And I'm not, you know, so I just look at her like this. And that was it. When you're that kind of selector, they're just following your lead, and that's just how you physically escalate. You're just on your own rhythm, okay? So I went from basically 0 to 60 in like less than a second. You know, I went from, what are you doing, to all of a sudden I just slipped my hand on the front of her panties, and I'm like, you know, palming her down there. And yes, I did have sex with her too. Okay. We finish up, and she's got this beautiful behind, like holy shit, right? And I'm like, baby, I have to take pictures of your butt. I'm sorry, you know. And you know, I was talking about earlier where like when I did that, like she tested me for congruence. Like she looked at me like I was insane, you know, but I was just solid about it. She does the same thing. She's like, you're so weird. You're so creepy. I can't believe you do this. And I'm like, you know, and what she's doing is she's screening, okay? Who's going to be the guy that happens with? The guy that just takes charge, takes action, and just does it, okay? But by presenting that kind of like block, like, you know, you're so weird and creepy, she'll scare away. She will make nervous or scare guys that aren't solid away, okay? So that's her screening process, okay? So like when you guys get like, you know, resistance or whatnot, consider that, okay? She wants to have the right guy, or, you know, she only allows certain guys to do what they're doing, okay? So it's probably just screening. Pass that shit, okay? It doesn't mean anything. You are who you are, okay? Oh yeah, I took this yoga instructor out, and you know, there's always comes a time where I'm thinking, I'm actually not gonna have sex with this girl tonight. That's weird, but it never works out that way. We always have sex. I don't know. You know, it just. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not gonna have sex with this girl. No, it always just happens. Okay, so I'm out with this girl. She's a yoga instructor, and we go to a movie. I love taking girls to movies. I guess a lot of guys say that they don't agree with the whole movie thing, and I love it. Like I'm sitting next to a girl, and like her seat's my seat basically. I'm like grabbing her, and like pulling her in, or like I'm like leaning over her, or, like rearranging her. Anyways, you know, the date consists of like the movie and then like me trying to pick her up and put her in trash cans as I find them. You know, it's just like a fun thing. It's like trash can, and I grab her, and I'm just like trying to like, you know, I'm like joking. I'm not actually gonna do it, but I'm like teasing her, you know. And she's like, stop, you know. And it's this fun, dominant, playful way of being with a girl, you know. And I think I counted like 16 or 17 trash cans that she almost went into. And you know, when you have that kind of a vibe, with a girl, when you're that physical and dominant with her, you're basically setting the mood for what's going to happen later. So we get back to her place, and she makes me dinner and stuff, and we start messing around, and that doesn't last very long. No, I was kidding. So we start going at it, and I don't know why I'm telling the story. Only that it's funny. Anyways, she's on top of me, and I'm just like leaning back like this because I don't like that much, And like she's in my lap, up and down, and I get bored or whatever, and I guess she gets bored too. So she leans over and starts stacking our dinner plates while we're having sex. She's like doing housework. I'm like, what the fuck? And I just grab her, like throw it out, like clear that table, like like that, and she just like starts screaming, and yeah. So I don't know what the point of that story was. Only that it's just hilarious. Okay, I met this girl out. She was my blueprint. Just exactly what I look for in a girl. Like Latina looking. Really, and her attitude, what she projects out. She's like a little socialite. Anyways, we get back to her place. Oh yeah, I'd called her. She'd number closed me. She'd taken my number, and then I sent her like a stupid ass text message that night. Like I looked at it later. I'm like, what the fuck, And I don't want to tell you guys because you guys would use it. I don't want that to happen. Anyways, she calls me up the next day, and she's like, who is this? And I'm like thinking like, what the hell? But I don't let it really bother me. I just start talking to her on the phone, just being like normal self, like, we blah, blah, blah. It's phone game. You're just having a good time, And I start to realize that she knows exactly who it was. She remembers everything. It's just a fucking test to see what's up, right? So apparently at some point, I guess I passed everything because she goes, well, why don't we watch a movie tonight and you can rub hot lotions in my body? And I'm like, okay. And at that point, somebody said the flinch factor, when that shit happens, because you'll just pass a certain point where the girl, she just goes, okay, you can have me now. When that happens, don't flinch. Just let that, just be cool with that. Okay. I've had that happen enough times where I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. So all of a sudden we go from this girl not knowing me to all of a sudden I'm going to her house tonight, and sex is in the air, Anyways, I'm over at her place with her, and, sexual escalation, physical escalation, one of the big things I tell guys is